Hey folks, it's Dr. Franklin, and I wanted to provide you with a tutorial that will address how you can use your order of operations to cover some of the equations we'll tackle at the end of Chapter 1. So we are coming out of Chapter 1 of the textbook by Gravetter and Walnall. This is Statistics in the Behavioral Sciences, and this is the 9th edition. This is question number 19. You see that question number 19 is composed of 4 different subproblems, and off to the right of the 4 different subproblems, you have X listed out with a series of raw scores beneath it. Recall from earlier lectures and discussions that X means raw score and that sigma means sum or add everything up. So understanding the definition of those 2 different symbols is going to be extremely important in completing these 4 sub problems that are listed in problem number 19. I think it's also important for us to go ahead and just write out our order of operations up at the top of this whiteboard. You'll see that I've listed them out in a certain order, and they're listed in a certain order because typically that's the order that you want to follow as you complete these algebraic equations. So many of you guys may remember the mnemonic, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and that's a way of remembering the sequence in which you're going to complete these equations. The P means parentheses, the E represents exponents, the M represents multiplication, D represents division, A represents addition, and finally S means subtraction. Now let's go ahead and tackle subproblem A by systematically working through this order of operation. So as we look at A, the first question that we're going to ask ourselves is, are there any parentheses that I need to directly address? The answer is no. Now, some of you guys may be tempted to put in parentheses as you would if you were putting it into a calculator, but here, guys, I want you to go with what's actually represented. And here, guys, there's no parentheses there, so I don't want you to put any in terms of working through the problem and using your order of operations. So we can just put an X underneath P, right? The next step is to address any kind of exponents. We see that there's a exponent to the right of X, which means raw score. So basically, guys, we have to tackle that first. We have to square every raw score first, okay? Since we do have an exponent, you can put a little check underneath the E. Now let's work our way through squaring each raw score that is present on the whiteboard. So really simple, we'll square 1, we'll square 2, we'll square 4, we'll square 1, and we'll square 3, right? So really, really easy. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 4 squared is 16, 1 squared is 1, and then 3 squared is 9. Pretty simple, right? So we've taken care of our exponent first. Next question we need to ask ourselves, does A require any kind of multiplication? Again, since we don't have any parentheses present or there's no obvious multiplication component to this problem, we can put an X underneath the M. Does it require any division? A, that is. No, right? So we don't see any division, so we can put an A next to that. Does it require any addition to solve this problem? Yes. Okay, we know that it does. Why? Because we see a sigma to the left of X. That sigma, again, means sum up all of the components that are off to the right. So let's go ahead and do that, okay? So that means we're going to take 1 plus 4 plus 16 plus 1 plus 9. Okay, we'll add all of those up. Let's see. So we have 5, we have 21, 22, and then finally 31. Okay, so that means that our final answer for A is 31. And of course, there was no subtraction there. We are totally done with the subproblem of A for problem number 19. Let's move on to 19B. And we're going to work our way through the order of operations again, asking ourselves, are there any parentheses we need to address? From the looks of it, guys, it looks like there are parentheses that we need to address, right? In fact, we are given the task of summing up all of the raw scores prior to taking the square of that solution, okay? So let me just clear out my whiteboard for a second. And I'll switch back to my pen. Okay, so parentheses, yes. Okay, so that means we go 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3, right? So we got 1 and 2, that's 3, 3 and 4, 7, 7 and 1, 8, and then 8 and 3 leaves us with 11. Okay, so we have taken care of what's in parentheses first. Now, do we have any exponents that we need to take care of? The answer is yes, right? So we take 11, we square it, and when we square 11, we end up with 111. So our final answer for this particular problem, guys, is 111. Or is it 121? It may be 121. I don't have my calculator in front of me. So let me pull it out just to double check. Okay, it's 121. Something didn't seem right about 111, folks. This is a good part of the tutorial. Always double check yourself. So 121 is the final answer for that. Okay, so no multiplication, no division, no addition, no subtraction. Okay, so we're done with the subproblem of B. Let's move on to C. I'll erase this. All right, what is C asking us to do? Well, we still need to work our way through the order of operations. So we have to take each of these raw scores and add 1 to it, right? Because we do have parentheses. So we go, and I like to do this just for organization's sake, folks. You may elect to do this as well. You go 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 4 plus 1, 1 plus 1, and 3 plus 1. Right, when we do that, we get 2, 3, 5, 2, and 4. Right? So we have effectively taken care of what's in parentheses. Do we have any exponents that we need to address? The answer is no. Do we have any multiplication we need to address? The answer is no. Any division? No. What about addition? Yes. Okay. So we're given the task of summing up the end result of what's in parentheses there. So that means we go 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 2 plus 4. Okay. So 2 and 3 gives us 5, 5 plus 5 gives us 10, 10 and 2 gives us 12, and then 12 plus 4 gives us 16. So our final answer for C is 16. Okay. And there's no subtraction to address, so we don't have to be bothered with that. All right, finally, subproblem D. Let's tackle that. In subproblem D, do we have parentheses that we need to take care of? The answer is yes, right? So we go x plus 1, and I just did this. I'm going to do it over again because I love you guys. So we go 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 4 plus 1, 1 plus 1, 3 plus 1, right? That gives us 2, 3, 5, 2, and 4. Okay. Now, what do we do next? Okay, we've taken care of parentheses. The next thing that we have to do is ask ourselves if any exponents are involved. Yes, they are involved, but you may also see the sigma. So which way do you go? Well, you handle the exponent first. And guys, what you're going to do is You can create a separate column. I like to do this just for organization's sake again. And bring your answers from here, okay, down here. And you're going to square each one of the answers that you got from the first column, because that is the task you're being given. So 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 5 squared is 25, 4 squared is 16, and then we got 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, so it may be tempting, guys, to sum up everything that you've just completed in parentheses, but don't follow your intuition in these particular types of problems. Okay, follow your order of operations. So take care of the exponent first. Okay, so once you add 1 to each of the raw scores, then move the raw scores into a separate column and square them if you're seeing a setup that is very similar to this. Okay, now do we have any multiplication? No. Do we have any division? No. Do we have addition? Yes, we have addition that we need to take care of. So we are tasked with adding up all of these scores that we just squared. So now that I have my calculator present, we go 4 plus 9 plus 25 plus 4 plus 16, which yields us 58, okay, as our final answer. Do we have any subtraction that we need to address here? No, we do not. Okay, so this was just a run through of some of the algebraic equations that you will tackle at the start of the statistics course. And just to review once more, we tackled these equations utilizing our order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So following that particular sequence, in addition to knowing what sigma represents and what x represents, will help you to solve many of the problems that will be presented to you. I hope that this was helpful, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to let me know in the comment section below or via email or in person. Take care.